Hey, it's me again, Katie from Ubiquitous History. So this is the second part of my Henry VIII video. So after I left off in my last video with Catherine and Anne have both been queen, had children. Well, both of them had daughters, and Henry got rid of both of them. He divorced Catherine and he beheaded Anne. So the day after Anne was beheaded, Henry actually got engaged to Lady Jane Seymour, and a month and a bit later they get married on June 30th. So Jane Seymour's marriage to Henry isn't really eventful. They're only married for a little bit of time before Jane gives birth. She gives birth, it's about a year and a bit later, but October 12th, 1537, Jane gives birth to Henry's first legitimate male heir, named Edward. Edward would later become Edward VI of England, but again, he'll have his own video, or a separate video from Henry's. 2 weeks after Edward is born, Jane dies, and I like to say that Henry never really got a chance to get tired of her. He claimed that this was his favorite wife. He ends up being buried next to her when he dies. Like I said, I think it's because he just didn't get a chance to dislike her, but it's just because he seemed like a very irritable guy. So after Jane dies, Henry needs another wife because he doesn't think that his throne would be secure with just one male heir, and the fact that both Catherine's daughter Mary and Anne's daughter Elizabeth are both out of the line of succession. So Henry only has one heir to his throne. So he looks for another wife and ends up getting married on January 6, 1540 to Anne of Cleves, who's from Germany. She brings with her a lot more reform to England, even though Henry himself is actually very Catholic. He just did not like the Pope and did not like the authority the Pope had over him. But otherwise, Henry's very Catholic and doesn't like the fact that Anne's bringing with her a lot of Protestant reform with her. So not even a month after being married, Henry decides that he wants to get his marriage to Anne annulled. He doesn't like her. He hasn't consummated the marriage. He just doesn't find her attractive. And because she doesn't put up a big fight, she's actually treated very well during this process, and even afterwards she's considered the king's sister and doesn't get cast aside as Catherine had been when Henry divorced her. So July of 1540, 6 months after they got married, Henry and Anne of Cleves have their marriage annulled. And that same month, Henry actually gets married to 17-year-old Katherine Howard. And Henry at this point is already 49. So there's quite a big age difference, but Henry really likes Catherine because she's young and lively and she makes him feel, young and lively himself, which is good when, you're 49 years old and always in pain. Henry had an old wound on his leg that was always giving him pain, was always opening up again and getting infected and such. So having a 17-year-old wife probably helps keep his mind off and things like that. So Catherine actually doesn't give Henry any more children, and which you'd think she might be able to because she was 17 and had tons of tons of time left in her to give him children. But in November of 1541, Henry finds out that Catherine cheated on him with a man named Thomas Culpeper, who was a gentleman of the king's privy chambers, and actually one of his favorites. Like, Henry really liked Thomas Culpeper, and felt very betrayed when when his wife cheated on him with Thomas Culpeper. So December 10th, Thomas Culpeper was executed by beheading, and then February 13th, 1542, Catherine herself was executed by beheading, as well as Lady Jane Rochford, who is actually George Boleyn's widow. Lady Rochford had helped Catherine and Thomas Culpeper meet in secret, so she was an accomplice and therefore guilty as charged. So again, Henry has no wife, and he goes about a year and a bit before he gets another wife, and on July 12, 1543, Henry gets married for the sixth and final time to Lady Katherine Parr. Lady Katherine Parr was actually, she was relatively young. She was in her 30s, young for those times, or relatively young for those times, sorry. Young for now, old for then. She had already had 2 husbands die on her, and but she had 2 sons, so Henry thought that she might give him another son. She didn't. In fact, Henry never had any more kids after Jane Seymour, or after he had Edward with Jane Seymour. And Katherine Parr was actually very well known for helping Henry restore his relationships with his 2 daughters, Mary and Elizabeth, who were both eventually restored to the line of succession before Henry died. And Henry also at one point left Catherine in charge of, as a regent of England, in charge of the country while he was at war with France, which he seemed to do quite a lot. He was either at war with France and allied with Spain, or allied with France and at war with Spain. He was always fighting one and allied with the other. And he also had a lot of Scottish invasions throughout his 38-year reign, and squashed all those, pushed them back. And because of the religious reformation that started happening in England during Henry's time, there were a lot of rebellions, a lot of Catholics wanting things to go back to the way things were, and a lot of Protestants wanting things to move forward, even though Henry was very stuck in his Catholicism. So on January 28, 1547, Henry died and left the throne to his son, Edward VI. And like I said before, that will be another video. And yeah, so I hope you guys learned something. And as I've said before, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to let me know. Thanks, bye.